Illegal migrants are being expelled by German services to Poland, according to a statement by Olaf Scholz. Yesterday, there was another such case at the Lubechin-Lincoln border crossing. Why are the German guards and the man they brought with them in overalls? Journalists have their guesses. These are maybe some safeguards against foot and mouth disease, which is dangerous for animals. How is it that on the Polish border, the German border services bring a person across the border and the Polish services take them in? Under what procedure? According to what procedure? Since this morning, we have tried to contact the border guard in the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Administration. The answer came just before 7 p.m. from the C branch of the border guard. German officers also carried out actions against a Polish citizen, a homeless person. The man had lost his right to freedom of movement in Germany and had an active ban on entering Germany. Due to the state of personal hygiene, the Polish citizen and the German officers accompanying him were dressed in protective suits. The other two were Ukrainians brought back by the Germans to Poland. Meanwhile, the German Chancellor spoke on the X platform. We continue to consistently fight illegal migration. Today we again ordered temporary controls at all German borders for 6 months and notified the European Commission. Border controls have been effective in reducing illegal migration, as the following figures show. 47,000 border rejections, 1/3 fewer asylum applications between 2023 and 2024, and the arrest of 1,900 human smugglers. Germany's Interior Ministry has also published a statement on its pages on this subject. Minister Nancy Faeser spoke out, and she too invoked Article 25 of the Schengen Code, saying that there is a migration crisis and that there are 1.2 million Ukrainians in Germany. In this case, it is the same argument that Donald Tusk invokes when convincing voters that Poland will not accept illegal immigrants because we already have accepted refugees from Ukraine. Poland will not implement any migration pact or any provision of such projects that would lead to Poland's forced submission of migrants. Ukraine can count on our solidarity, but all of Europe must understand that Poland is bearing this burden, and they are supposed to help us and not impose any new burdens. What may be worrying is the lack of adequate response on the part of the Polish government to the increased controls on the internal borders of the European Union introduced by Germany. If only as adequate as the response of the Netherlands or France to Germany, where detailed controls have also been introduced. Why don't the Polish services respond? Because they don't have permission to do so. It is not a question of the services themselves, it is a question of the decision makers, their commanders, the Minister of Internal Affairs and Administration, and finally, the Prime Minister himself. However, the politicians of the December 13th coalition seem to be conjuring reality. If the first country these people went to after crossing the border was Poland, then Germany is exercising this right. But these people should not be in our country and should be taken back. It sounds good in theory, but they are not sent back. The situation on the Polish-German border, as well as Olaf Scholz's announcement, contradict what Donald Tusk said, and who, despite his declarations, has not done and is not doing anything to terminate the migration pact. And Olaf Scholz apparently intends to take advantage of these circumstances. Echoes reverberate after Donald Trump turned off the tap of the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID. The case involved funding for media and NGOs around the world, including Poland. One of its beneficiaries was the Tour de Constitution project, in which a group of judges toured the country allegedly promoting the idea of human dignity. But now, even more recent facts have come to life. According to reports by a former State Department official in Donald Trump's administration, Mike Benz, the National Endowment for Democracy's operational arm, USAID, allegedly pressurized Donald Tusk's government to arrest law and justice politicians.
My organization, Foundation for Freedom.
A former State Department official in Donald Trump's administration and director of the Freedom Online Foundation has published excerpts from a Journal of Democracy article urging Donald Tusk to arrest law and justice politicians. Important, USAID's partner and operations arm, the National Endowment for Democracy, NED, has been specifically demanding Donald Tusk's government in Poland must find ways to arrest high-ranking members of the Law and Justice Party in order to stamp out populism. They wrote this in Tusk's first month in office. The NED is the operational arm of the U.S. Agency for International Development, which is the publisher of the Journal of Democracy. And here are further excerpts from that publication. Poland's new government must therefore do more than just return to liberal democracy to ensure that populism does not return in the next election. The new government should therefore focus attention on whether and how suspected criminals can be punished. There are a number of cases that should be tried immediately. These include the 2015 appointment of judges to the Constitutional Tribunal in contravention of the law, the attempt in 2020 to arrange a supposedly unconstitutional presidential election by mail-in voting during the pandemic, and the 2023 visa scandal. Naturally, the leader of the Law and Justice Party, Jarosław Kaczyński, should be held responsible, but legally proving allegations against him will likely be difficult. These suggestions, which were a type of instruction, prove the criminal nature of the activities of both US aid against the opposition in Poland and its subcontractors. The suggestions to criminalize by force, to find hacks on the Polish opposition and personally on its leader, Jarosław Kaczyński, is evidence that were it not for Donald Trump's victory, Poland would really be in great danger. But the Agency for International Development and the National Endowment for Democracy did not always look like this.
National Endowment.
The NED, or National Endowment for Democracy, was established back when Ronald Reagan was still in office. As a non-governmental, but as political and party-backed as possible, both major tools in the US fight for democracy, that is, to fight against communism. However, the National Endowment for Democracy has changed its original purpose. It has transformed itself into a strictly left-wing organization and does not so much fight communism as it supports communism in its new forms, though neo-Marxism, and supports it with the money it gets from the US aid. Let's recall, the US Agency for International Development supports initiatives around the world with the goal of developing democracy. However, as we see under the Joe Biden administration and the Democrats, the funds went to something else. It has turned into such an ideological arm. As we hear these most absurd ideas are the funding of the homosexual squirrel study in Zimbabwe, and in Poland the election lighthouse judges the media. Among the projects sponsored with money from the US Agency for International Development was the Tour de Constitution, on which judges traveled around the country promoting the idea of human dignity. The liberal left beauties can talk wonderfully about democratic values, about the rule of law, but first of all, subsequent information about the activities of US aid, as well as our helpers in Poland, those in togas or with a pen, working in NGOs and many other places, show the darkness of these initiatives.
My fellow Americans today,
As you can see, left liberal politicians who talk a lot about respect, tolerance, the rule of law and democracy, when they take power, do everything to eliminate those who don't think like them, regardless of the country.
Russian provocation over the Gulf of Gdańsk. A military Su-24MR appeared over Polish territorial waters, taking off from a base in the Kaliningrad region near the Polish border and violating our airspace. The Russians claimed that the cause was a navigation system malfunction, but it is hard to believe in such cases. Perhaps the pilots were tasked with operating near the Polish border and collecting information on how, for example, radio location stations on the Polish coast that track air traffic in the area of the Kaliningrad region were working. The Armed Forces Operational Command observed the Russian machine through radio location systems and intervened, after which the aggressors changed course. The plane, which was making a flight from the Kaliningrad region, violated Polish airspace to a maximum depth of 6.5 kilometers and stayed there for 1 minute and 12 seconds. Russia is using all sorts of tricks to test, in fact, the readiness of NATO member states on the eastern borders of the alliance. Russian barbarians provoke an attack. Alarm sirens went off in Kiev at night. Ordinary people, residents of several settlements in the Ukrainian capital, came under fire. I heard the sirens and suddenly explosions started. There were 3 here in the neighborhood, very strong ones. The target, as always, were defenseless people who were attacked by Putin's troops in the middle of the night. Homes, blocks of flats, and stores were destroyed, but the Kremlin criminals didn't stop there. The Russian attack also targeted our energy infrastructure. They launched 20 missiles and sent 125 drones, most of which we shot down. And all while Donald Trump is preparing a peace plan. But before Putin sits down at the negotiating table, he wants to destroy Ukraine as much as possible, hit civilians, and destroy critical infrastructure. Peace is needed for Ukraine, but I think it is also important for Donald Trump, because then he will be able to say that he is the leader thanks to whom peace has come to Ukraine. Donald Trump is already holding the first talks with Volodymyr Zelensky and Vladimir Putin. The goal is to end the war and the suffering of innocent victims. The leader of the Department of Government Efficiency in Donald Trump's administration is aware that artificial intelligence is a strategic branch that could determine technological superiority in the future. After electric cars, rockets, and the X portal, Elon Musk now wants to invest in AI. First attempt, unsuccessful. The Elon Musk-led consortium has offered $97.4 billion to buy the artificial intelligence research organization OpenAI, which created ChatGPT. It's time for OpenAI to return to the open-source, safety-focused force for good it once was. We will make sure that happens. The response from Musk's former associate and now business foe, Sam Altman, sounded unequivocal.
I have nothing new to say. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, how so?
The company is not for sale.
Sorry?
The company is not for sale. It's like another one of his, tactics to try to mess with us. But
what about the amount he offered?
I have not paid it. I mean, it's just, it doesn't matter.
Earlier, Altman published a short comment on the X portal with a malicious counter-argument. No thanks, but we'll buy Twitter for $9.74 billion if you want. Elon Musk founded OpenAI with Altman in 2015, but left before the company took off. In 2023, he founded rival startup xAI, and last August sued Altman, claiming that in his quest to develop artificial intelligence, he violated his contract by putting money before the public good. Elon Musk assures that he will eventually take over AI one day anyway, and will do so with the blessing of the incumbent U.S. president.
His name is Elon Musk. He saved free speech. He created so many different great things. Where is he? Come on up here, Elon. He created the first major American car company in generations, and his rocket company is the only reason we can now send American astronauts into space.
Meanwhile, world leaders and heads of technology companies met at a conference on artificial intelligence at Paris's Grand Palais. This is the challenge we face in terms of artificial intelligence: how to lead the world through this great technological transformation and anticipate what its implications will be in many sectors, so as to use it in the service of humanity. The United States was represented by Vice President J.D. Vance.
America wants to partner with all of you, and we want to embark on the AI revolution before us with a spirit of openness and collaboration.
At the same time, Vance cautioned European partners against working with dictatorships. He didn't name them verbatim, but China is known to be involved.
Some authoritarian regimes have stolen and used AI to strengthen their military, intelligence, and surveillance capabilities, capture foreign data, and create propaganda to undermine other nations' national security.
General-purpose artificial intelligence is seen as the next technological breakthrough, comparable to the invention of the computer or the internet. It is expected to be capable of combining information from different areas of knowledge, and will be able to learn and apply knowledge in a manner similar to humans. We all hope that it will not be used for malicious purposes.